Welcome to Curious Goldfish, a podcast community where music and curiosity come together through interesting conversations with the music makers of our world. I'm your host, Jason English. You can find Curious Goldfish in all the major podcast and social media platforms, and of course, we have all of our content on our website, curiousgoldfish.com. What's up, Davin?
What's up, man?
We're here in Muscle Shoals, like we talked about. So this is part 2 of our conversation. It's 11 o'clock at night on a Friday. How are you hanging in there?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, man. Although as soon as these podcasts start, I freeze up. I feel like I've never spoken to anyone before.
Yeah, I think you're all right, though. You always have something to say. So when we talked in January, you were planning to come to Muscle Shoals for the studio and the recording of the album that you've been thinking about for a bit. I know the timing of the start got delayed, but you've been here most of March. Is that right?
Yep.
And it's basically the last Friday of March. Was it what you expected?
Oh, it's been a harder process than I probably thought it would be. A little bit more taxing.
Taxing in what way?
Just the way we approach this one is we were trying to avoid using click tracks or any of that stuff, and there's never like a band that just comes in, so everything is kind of centered around me having to perform the song live, basically in the live room, and I got to kind of do it 4 or 5 times and try to get to that headspace that I need to be in with no crowd in front of me, with no energy coming back at me. So it's kind of weird to get that kind of, emotional or, in whatever way, with just you in a room. It's like you kind of have to try to get back to where you were when you first wrote the song, which is not always easy to do without a little help from your friends.
Right.
Well, we got trains.
There's a train in Muscle Shoals. It's good. Yeah, I mean it's hard work, and you don't realize it. You just when you're just a listener of music, you don't realize the process that you go through. And for you you play guitar and you sing, and you don't just sing, you sing, right? So it's,
if it goes right.
Yeah, there's a lot of work there. Can you just walk us through, not day by day or anything, but like the first week, 2 weeks, kind of what that looked like, and then I think you returned to Atlanta briefly, and then you came back. Can you just kind of walk us through?
Yeah,
what the flow was?
I came out, and we didn't do any. We had to kind of do pre-production on the song. I mean, some of them were really ready to go. I knew exactly what they were. Wasn't really interested in a lot of input, but others needed pre-production, and because we had to change the schedule around, we got some of them. We would have to do kind of pre-production in the studio, which feels like it bogs it down, even though normally you would have just already done it. You would have spent the time on it. So the first couple of days, I was a little frustrated at sort of the pace. Not with the team, with me, and kind of just everything. And then I sort of settled into like, oh well, we didn't have time to suss some of this stuff out. So why wouldn't it take? Why wouldn't it be kind of sluggish getting some of these started? And also, it takes a couple days too. You're in front of people, especially here, with Dan Hannon and Gary Nichols and Clint, and everybody here is. And everybody here's their pedigree is really, really strong, and they're all ridiculously good musicians. And I don't know. I've been out here and hung with them and written with some of them and all that. But it also kind of takes a little bit to get comfortable, to be vulnerable. I felt kind of tight the first couple of days. So that was sort of the start. Was I was going, oh fuck, how is this going to work?
Well, that's natural though, right? Any new teams, coming together,
so.
you gotta, feel each other out, and
and you gotta just, there's a that fucking train. There's just definitely a vulnerability that is required of you, and when you're in front of people that you're simultaneously happen to be vulnerable in front of and impressed by them, it's a little harder to, because you just want to be good the whole time, and you're like, oh my gosh, if I fuck this take, if I fuck this, this part up, they're gonna think I suck, or something. And of course that's all in your head. But so yeah, I got out here. We figured out how we were gonna kind of go about this process, doing it in a not your traditional kind of way how you normally record a record these days. And then I think day 3 was when it really started just kind of lifted off, and we figured out kind of the things we needed to do and adjust in order to get me sort of comfortable. And for Dan, I think to figure out what I needed from him in terms of the producer's job is to manipulate you, so that takes a minute for a good producer to figure out, like, what's the way in which to motivate you to do what he wants you to do without telling you to do what he wants you to do.
So the first week or two you were recording, I guess is the industry term tracking. Is that, am I picking that up?
Tracking, yeah, you're learning.
All right, I'm learning tracking. There's punching, right?
Punching, yeah, punches.
Punches.
Yeah, it's like when you go and make an edit, basically.
Yeah.
A live edit.
It's this whole thing has its own nomenclature, which is really cool. But no, so you laid down tracks the first week or two, right?
Yeah, the first week or two was basically me just laying down the guitar and the vocals on each song, which took surprisingly longer than you would think to get the performances right, because there's just not we don't have a lot of ability to comp anything. We're not using a click, so I kind of have to get it right, and that can be kind of stressful,
Yeah, and then you had other people help with percussion and piano and things like that, right? So like Robbie and then Dan's son, right? Helped out quite a bit.
Eli Hannon, he helped with a lot of the production, and him and I got together on a lot of the kind of some of the pads we wanted in the keys parts and stuff, and so I would sort of clumsily play something that I had in mind, and then Eli would be able to sort of turn it into an actual part rather than sort of the unsophisticated way in which I approach that stuff.
And he's 19.
He's 19. He's a freak of nature. He's an alien. He's a Martian.
That's
He'll
cool.
be, he's probably the next, like, Jacob Collier, something like that. He'll be in the world. He'll be known.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So, so then you came back to Atlanta after, I guess, tracking, and then you came back this week, right? Or have you been here a full week?
I came back. Let's see.
It's Friday.
I came back on Sunday morning.
All right, so you've been here almost a week.
Yeah, I was home for I think like 8 days or something.
Yeah. So here you're going back through each song and fixing things and things like that, right?
Yeah, we're doing a lot of the dubs, so just adding, atmosphere and or if it needs percussion or if it needs, guitars or whatever. And some of them we came back and I just said, like, we got to redo this. So there was some backtracking involved too. We've been pushing we've been a little bit cavalier with but you want to get it right. I mean, you want to live with it, and so this week has been much more exhausting than the first two. The first two, you're thinking, man, we got a lot of time.
Right.
First 2.5, you're like, we got a lot of time. Like and then you get back here and you go, like, we are staring at the end of this, and there's a lot to do.
Yeah.
I kept saying when I got back, I was like, okay, well, we're 2/3-ish the way done with our time, and about 40% of the way done with the music. So
yeah,
we've been pushing it.
So in January you were excited for this for a lot of reasons, but I think you were talking about your past experience, with other recording sessions, and the need and your desire to get back to like what Davin McCoy sounds like, mostly, live, and sort of you're in your soul and how people would see you performing. Do you think you achieved that with what you've heard so far?
I think so. You definitely get to a spot where you go, well, we have to serve the song here. So there might be more stuff around some of the vocals and the guitar than I initially kind of imagined there would be. but you get in there and you gotta have to, you sort of have to ask the song, like, what,
Right.
what does it need here and what does it want? So we've been trying to find I think we have managed to find we were able to walk that razor's edge of serving the song to the best of our ability and not forgetting that we want everything in there to be necessary, but we also don't want people to miss it so much when it's not there.
Yeah.
So I think we kind of found that spot.
Yeah. So I love you, with just a guitar, wherever you're singing. But what I've enjoyed just being here, kind of witnessing things, is the piano and the strings, and all these kind of surrounding sounds. Usually, I'm not a huge fan of that, but what I've heard so far, it's like it completely amplifies you.
I hope. God,
Yeah.
that fucking train. Man, that thing is.
The train. It's like the longest train ride
Yeah.
in Alabama here.
He's fucking mad at somebody. The engineer, the conductor of that train, his ex-wife certainly has to live in this town because he's blown the horn the entire way through.
And it's 11 at night on a Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to, you get into doing it and you naturally lose a little perspective. If you don't, then
Yeah.
you're probably missing something else. But I hope that that what we've got on it is in service of sort of the lyric and the
Yeah.
vocal. What were you got out here?
Well, no, like I
started hearing it.
Well, so like I came to know you just playing around Atlanta with you and your guitar, right? And that's what I love. And then I would listen to your older albums, on Spotify, and I'm like, it just doesn't sound like Davin.
Right.
This stuff that I'm hearing sounds like you.
Oh,
that's
good.
That's my point, right? Like that, even with all the things surrounding it, and it's not a lot, right? I'm excited.
That's good. That's good to hear that. Yeah, I think it doesn't have any kind of it doesn't have a lot of the sparkly and shiny stuff that.
Yeah.
It's still, I think, appropriately dark. Everything that's kind of going on, and so those little, what we've tried to look for with most of the stuff we've added is those little moments where we can either kind of punctuate the darkness or the of the mood, if it's a dark mood or if it's or kind of provide like these subtle kind of breaths and lifts and just little things that make you feel like there's things aren't always great, or you might be missing somebody, or you might be lonely, or you might be searching for something, or you might be feeling isolated or uncomfortable or whatever it is. But like these little things, we've tried to be in service of showing that, but that's life, and tomorrow happens, and then the next day happens, and then the next day happens, and this too shall pass, and blah blah blah. So that was kind of our goal with the stuff around it, and hopefully,
Yeah, that's great.
It comes off.
No, it's good. And then again in our first conversation, you were talking about, it's been a few years, and you've got a decent backlog of songs, and I think the number that you were kind of contemplating was potentially not having 15 songs on the album, but probably 15 songs to work with, and you've settled on what, 10, 11?
It looks like I think it's gonna be. Is it gonna be 12 or 11?
Is it going to be more than that? Okay,
well,
cool.
What's on? Let's see. What did you see in there?
I didn't. I should have counted them, but I didn't count them.
I can't remember what ended up on the board. It's
but
either
it's
11
I guess
or
my
12,
point is
I think.
it's fewer than the 15, right?
Yeah.
So like, I guess talk us through why did some make it and some not, and it was that kind of part of this process.
Well, it's funny is that the ones that were definitely going on, we kind of course approached those first, or that's what I kind of presented first, and then I would get with Clint and with Dan and Clint Ingersoll, by the way. He's a great songwriter from Nashville. He's part of the team here, but I would get with them, and when they would say, "What are we going to track next? What should we put on the board next?" I would go, "Well, let me think for a little bit," and then I'd get a guitar and I would kind of go through a few things, and then I would present those few things kind of to them. This one's finished. This one is almost finished. This one's finished, and I just sort of play them, and it didn't take me very long they would go that one, let's do, that's great, blah blah blah, play the other one, play that one, that's great. And I go, okay, good, that's what I thought. And then it didn't take me very long when I would do that to watch their face, and I'd be like, oh, you hate this one, you despise this one. Like, no, we're just listening. So it became kind of easy to kind of suss them out. And the other ones just might not have been, but there's one that is was kind of written about. It just didn't, there's one that I think is a pretty good song, and I really do like it. It means a lot to me. I have not played it a whole ton because it doesn't, it sort of doesn't always fit into what I'm doing. And so, that happens a decent amount. So, that might be one for another project. There's another one that it felt like it felt like we already had kind of the anchor. Like we'd already found the depth, like of where the anchor on this record, song-wise, the kind of the two that would be it. And this one sort of, it felt like an anchor that didn't, like it wanted to be an anchor, but it wouldn't reach the bottom. You know what I mean? So it was just sort of, it didn't feel, it felt like it was.
And that didn't make that's not going to make the album?
It's not going to make the record.
Wow.
Yeah, so that one of them was that way. And these are still songs that I'll probably, because the ones that I brought thinking they might make it are songs that I really do love.
Right.
It just was when we were kind of wrapping our head around the whole project. I mean, even one of them, The River, which I wrote a long time ago, when we recorded that, and I thought there's no way that's going on the record. And it's along with a couple of others, it's one that I wrote. It just doesn't really always go with the theme. That's what we were thinking. But The River, though, does. It just was written in a different sort of time period for me then. And so, but then we started production around it. And in fact, I'll give you a good quote from Dan Hannon.
Oh boy.
I said, I don't necessarily love the dynamic range of this song, and I maybe we can find a way to kind of get the lifts that I want out of it with maybe a harmony and with some pads and some other instruments. And he looked at me deadpan and goes, "You mean you want me to fucking produce it?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay, right.
There you go.
Yeah, fair enough." What was the question?
No, like we're just talking about the song choices and whittling them down in the process. So I hope to talk to you again when everything is kind of wrapped up and you've got the album and the track listing and everything, because I'd like to go through them a little bit more detail. So without giving away too much, which song surprised you the most? I mean, you mentioned The River, but is there any other song that surprised you without giving away too much?
Yeah, there's one called Nothing Lasts Forever that kind of came in. I really thought I was going to play that for them, and they were going to go, "What's next?" They were going to go like,
wow.
"Okay, not that one. What else?" And I kind of qualified it that way too. I said, "I don't, this one, I can hear it in my head. I know that it can be good. I don't have it quite where it probably should be, but I think if I can have a sounding board, for it and do some pre-production and bounce some ideas off of you, I think that you can probably help me get it from my head to, to tape." And that one surprised all of us, actually. It was about to be Dead in the Water. It was real close to being Dead in the Water. And then Clint said, he told one of the interns, "Go get a baritone guitar." And so when he brought the baritone guitar back and he handed it to me, and we started kind of fucking around with it that way, and then we all looked at each other and was like, "Oh shit, this is good." And so that was kind of an odd one, because it sort of, the baritone guitar sort of, like it was 30 seconds from we were going to move on.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, just, spoiler alert.
And it's one of my favorites.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, you had shared that with me as a preview, and I just, I was in the back of an Uber. I might have gotten emotional. So, it may have been because I was exhausted from a work trip. I don't know, but I think it was the song and the moment. So that's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it made me happy that you reacted in such a positive way to that.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering what you would think. Did I send you first? Did I first send you just like a video of us tracking it?
No, yeah. It was a video, but you only sent me it was 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Of the kind of the after the big lift, and so I knew it was okay, there's something there that sounds really cool. And then when I heard the whole thing, it was just okay.
Yeah, I sent that clip to you and a few other people just to see, to gauge, just because what could you tell from 15 seconds?
Yeah.
But every single one of y'all was had something like a really positive reaction to just that 15
just the 15 seconds
of me just recording the monitors playing it and with my phone. And so I was like, yeah, so the next day woke up and I was real excited to get back to that one. And I think that one is really kind of a standout one on the record.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to love that. So you talked about the difficult process, but you're sort of at the end. You're on the 10-yard line. It feels like 15-yard line maybe, going in for the touchdown.
Or field goal.
No, don't settle for a field goal. You can't settle for a field goal. It's going to be a touchdown. Where you're recording, obviously Muscle Shoals, which we talked about in January, but since being here at Ivy Manor and just, I know it's a difficult process, but the setup is incredible.
Yeah.
And the team you have is incredible.
Indeed,
has that met or exceeded your expectations?
Yeah, and what's funny is, and I really didn't, I just innately knew, and I'm rarely like this, I normally manage my expectations in a big way. I can be, so much that it's off-putting sometimes to people that are close to me because they're like...
Glass half full.
They'll be like... Or they'll tell me, hey, there's this opportunity and it's really, exciting and blah, 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 and I'll go okay, well, we'll see, whatever. And because in this business, you just kind of learn to be that way. It's rough, and if you tell... if you get really excited about every kind of opportunity that comes up, you'll, most, in this business, a lot of them just kind of, they don't pan out and people are, overpromise or they're full of shit and certainly if you go tell your friends, you'll just end up they'll just roll their eyes every time you tell them something exciting because, half the time something goes, there's just so many moving parts and there's so much luck involved. But when I was coming out here, I kind of, for whatever reason, I knew that it was going to be. I might have thought it would be. The process would have been a little bit easier.
Sure.
But I kind of knew, and it exceeded those expectations. I mean, just I mentioned, how important the camaraderie and the friendships and all that shit is when you're recording a record.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I knew we were already buddies. Me and most of these guys, but I knew we would be friends when we left, but I didn't, I wasn't expecting us to be family, just straight up family, and we've become that. In fact, after the first 2.5 weeks out here, I went home and it was great because I got to, if I didn't have kids, I would have been depressed when I got home for sure. But my kids, obviously, that
Sure.
elevated me because I was just so excited to get my hands around them every day. But I would wake up and go I'm not gonna go have coffee with Clint and Dan, and you know what I mean.
Yeah,
it was kind of, so I mean, which I guess speaks kind of volumes around who they are and how great it is out here. And the ping pong's been good, and I haven't really. I think I've crossed the bridge here. I think I told you the other day 3 times since I've left Ivy Manor. I mean, to go to the gas station, and I think I've gone and I've gone and eaten in a restaurant 3 times the whole time I've been here. I've been just. It's been long days.
Well, so for those of us that just know Muscle Shoals because of what we've heard, or maybe the documentary that's on Netflix and stuff, but as the artist that's here, do you feel after spending time here, especially at this studio, is the mystique real, for you?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it more just legend and lore?
I don't want to upset anybody. I you know me, I don't get into the woo-woo stuff
I know
at
you don't.
all.
That's why I'm asking.
You know, so but do I think that there's an energy here? Absolutely, I do. I think it's probably because, you know, at some point, all the greats wanted to come here and record, and so many of them did. And now, to this day, people that really are in this shit for the right reasons and stuff, they're drawn to here. So
Right.
there is a, you know, the ratio of musicians in this town that are just like the guy, in my opinion, kind of the right kind of people.
Mm.
That ratio is really, 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 really extraordinarily high here. And, you know, I'm not going to dog on Nashville, but
Right.
the ratio in Nashville is really, 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 really extraordinarily low. And so there's a difference with that. And, and if you come all the way out here to do this, like, you're, you know, whatever's driving you to do that is it's fucking real. And it's weird, it's strange.
Yeah, it's a weird, strange, awesome place.
Yeah.
You know, Michael, the guy that owns the studio, he was telling me that yes, there's Fame Studio, that's the famous one, or the original one that's the famous one. There's Muscle Shoals Sound,
yeah.
the Nut House. But he was saying that there's 10 studios within 10 minutes of this spot, and he said they're all booked, basically all the time.
Yeah.
Which is wild to think about here in Muscle Shoals, Alabama.
And they don't really compete with each other at all.
That's what he was saying. Yeah,
they're all it's
mostly,
you know,
friendly, and
it's symbiotic.
They let he was saying that they let each other, you know, borrow gear
all the time.
Yeah, if someone needs something, so that's really cool.
I think you get kind of run out if you don't come.
Yeah,
like if you don't come correct, like in that kind of sense, I think they just run you out of here.
Yeah.
And it is pretty neat. It's fascinating because you just don't. But again, it's like they're all in the trenches here together. It's like it's because there's nothing the fuck else here. I was open a Dollar General if you don't.
I know. Well, I was talking to Gary Nichols, you know, earlier, and you know he's born here.
Right.
He was born down the street,
which
basically.
Makes perfect sense.
No, it's great, and he. I asked him about the Mystique too, because you know, it's part of his bloodline, and I'm like, listen, there's rivers in other places of the country, you know, because a lot of people talk about the energy of the river, and you know, and I'm like, there's other rivers elsewhere. Like, what is it about, you know, Alabama? And you know, he's like, listen, it's the dirt, it's the river, it's the energy, it's the people. So you know, there is something, I think.
There's definitely something, because this wouldn't be here if there wasn't. I mean, for sure, there's got to be something.
Will you come back here? Do you think if you have the opportunity to do another album?
In a heartbeat. Yeah, in a heartbeat. And and it is interesting. Gary can too. He can sell me. He could almost make me believe in ghosts. You know what I mean? He talks, and it's coming from just such a real place with Gary, and
I did ask him about the origin of Muscle Shoals, because I thought he would be the authority.
What'd he say?
Well, not, you know, spoiler alert, because it's going to be on another episode with him, but he said it's a combination of the map of the river looking like a flexed arm, a muscle.
That was the other one. I forgot that one.
Yeah, that he thinks it's from that. But he actually said, listen, the reality is he thinks it's, you know, a lot of muscles, and they just misspelled it.
Yeah,
he's like, it is Alabama after all.
When I first learned about the fact that nobody really knows, there's no consensus on why it's Muscle Shoals. I was sitting with 7 or 8 people that are all from this area, Gary being one of them, and all of them disagree. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
there were
there's
like
no
there were
consensus.
3 camps, and they were all like, no.
No.
And I was like, hey, I'm sorry I asked. I didn't mean to cause any friction.
But you'll come back if you have the opportunity to do another album then.
Yeah, I would definitely. I mean, let me hear the finished product first, you know.
I think it sounds pretty good.
I'm pretty excited about it being done. So this is a great thing about Muscle Shoals. The Shoals Music Makers
Oh, nice.
is it's a part of the, I guess, the city council or whatnot, and they in order to kind of stimulate and drive the music economy here, they take submissions and they'll give you grants. And so this is a really cool thing. So we were staring, at the deadline,
Right.
and I'm looking at the board going, we haven't crossed off enough things yet, and it's crunch time. Michael, the guy, Michael Wright, the guy you mentioned that owns Ivy Manor, he had submitted when we first did some tapes. He had submitted that to the Muscle Shoals Music Makers or whatever it is I said, and so I found out, I guess 2 days. Was it 2 days ago or yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday.
Yesterday, that they had accepted. They'd offered me a grant. So they're actually, our studio time is set to be up this Sunday, but Muscle Shoals Music Makers, they gave me a grant to do another 7 days here. So I'll be coming back in April, which is amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we kind of got a little bit of a break there. We still treated it as if we have to be finished Sunday because I need that deadline to get me there. But it's good because we're going to get to listen to basically the finished record, but instead of it being finished, we're going to be able to listen to it for 3 weeks or something, and then come back and change whatever we want, which is a rare. I mean, you just, unless you have unlimited money, that's
expensive.
Very rarely happens. So yeah, I think they offered a grant of I think like right around $8,000.
That's awesome.
And they don't. The only thing they ask for is for me to tag them in social media stuff, that's amazing. I mean,
that's really cool.
And that probably kind of furthers the question of why this place is great.
Yeah.
And because you just have people out here that care, they really give a shit.
No, that reminds me, so Lily Winwood, right? So she
was supposed to come out here yesterday.
I know. She didn't, but so she was on a tour recently, and the other person she was touring with is Serena Wages, who's from Memphis. That tour was funded by a similar group in Memphis for her.
A grant?
Yeah.
She got a grant for it?
And she, she obviously the same kind of deal. She'll kind of shout them out on social media and stuff, but it's a similar thing of supporting the arts.
That's great.
And musicians. So that, when you told me about that earlier, I'm like, that's cool. Like these groups are kind of popping up.
Yeah. Especially in, small towns. And you do see it more and more. I mean, Roswell.
Right.
They try to, they work kind of hard to get get the town square kind of active with music and stuff. Or maybe they think they do and they do I don't know. But
no, they do. Yeah,
they seem to.
Yeah.
But this kind of thing is kind of next level with that.
Yeah, that's serious money. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So I'm grateful, very grateful to them. That I appreciate that, guys.
No, that's great. So you'll come back in April. I guess what's the timing you think after that to have everything kind of mastered and finalized, and the release timing? What's your best guess at this point?
Well, I'm guessing we'll have the masters. I mean, probably within 2 or 3 days of that. So end of April. Masters will have then I'll be working on the album art and liner notes and all that stuff between now and then, so hopefully that'll be kind of ready to go. If we're gonna press vinyl, but that is the backup. There's a backup on that. It takes a really long time. So digital release, we're still kind of like
summertime,
figuring out a strategy if we're gonna waterfall it or just release it as one unit. But we're gonna do like a big marketing push for the Spotify and for all that to get it where we want it to be and everything
Yeah.
in place, and then definitely drop it. I'm gonna guess July.
Okay.
I'm gonna guess July.
That's good. That'd be good.
So if you're a betting man,
Yeah.
September.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that.
We're more focused on getting everything in place to be able to start next year on the road and pushing it and promoting it and playing it. That's my number one focus. So and that seems like a long time, but it's not. I mean, 6 months is not a lot of, I mean, that we're going to have to be. So it's not going to delay. It's definitely the Atlanta release and stuff. I mean, we'll have that shit going, but
Cool.
I don't know. We got to kind of put our heads together on how we're going to. There's in the camp, there's several different kind of strong opinions about how to release it.
Yeah.
Because today it's so strange.
It's so strange. Yeah. It's so strange.
And you have to figure out how to get into the fucking algorithm.
Yeah. I mean, I've talked to a few artists now in the last couple of months, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. And it's the playlist game is pretty important.
It's real important.
And I don't know if anyone's ever figured it out, but
yeah, we're about to have to spend a decent amount of money on that.
Yeah.
And it's paramount, and and that's just the way it is. I mean, you can be.
Yeah.
It's like adapt or die, right?
Right.
But I will say, I think there's a chance that if we decide to do a waterfall or on the digital release, or if we decide to delay it, there's a chance that I will print some, and because the vinyl, I think the waiting list is a year right now. I mean, the backup
seriously.
is a year, so the vinyl is going to take a while. But and you can't they have to have the masters, so so you can't. And so I talked the other day with Robbie about it. I think that if we are going to push the digital release, or we're going to waterfall it, however we decide to go about it, then if we push that back, we'll do like a limited run of CDs, because we weren't planning on doing CDs, because who the fuck gets CDs?
People like something in their hand, though.
Yeah, so we'll do a limited run of those and do a release party in Atlanta with those. Sweet. And just ask that nobody put them online,
right?
Before the digital release.
Yeah.
So that's
cool.
That's might be the plan. We'll see.
All right. Well, we ended the conversation in January talking about.
Are you about to tell me about how you spanked me at ping pong?
Well, I'm just gonna say.
I saw you look at that fucking table.
My social media is blowing up. Everybody wants to know. They're like DMing me. They're like, "Hey, did you guys actually play ping pong when you're in Muscle Shoals?" And I mean, you got me the first game. And
did I win the first one?
Yeah, you won the first one. Do you want to tell?
And then we didn't play again, right?
Do you want to give the people an update, or you want me to?
Let's see. We played that first one and I won, and then we ate lunch, and then I started recording again. Right? Am I missing anything?
All this. Yeah, you're kind of delusional at this point. It's so late in the process.
Delirious and delusional. Yeah, Jason, you did exactly what I was afraid you were gonna do.
Yeah,
you spanked me, and you found that forehand. And then I was forced to try to just play on on your left side. I was trying to just play to your backside, backside.
It didn't
and
matter.
backside.
It didn't matter.
Then you found that.
Yeah.
And we're about to play We're about to play now when we're done with this podcast.
This is getting late. I don't know. I gotta go.
We're gonna play. You're gonna play me again. I think that
No, it's a good
What
setup.
I was afraid of was real.
Yeah.
You came out here and beat the shit out of me.
It's just I have experience. That's all. I'm 12 years old or whatever. So I think that's the trick.
Yeah. Well, people think that because of the videos that our social media guy has posted, it's always me cursing when I'm playing people, and they think that I lose. And you're the first person that's come out here, and I lost the first couple of days when I got out here because I had to get back in it. The running score of me and Dan Hannon is I promise you, I'm not exaggerating. It's like 35 games to 12 or something. Me and Gary Nichols and I don't we haven't been able to play that much, him and I, but I think it's 9 or 10 to nothing games. So
they're going to be so excited that you're announcing this to the world.
Oh, I'm going to have Blake put it on social media. I mean, for sure. He was supposed to be doing that. I told him, like, every day you're going to give an update on the score of the game. Because the videos he put up of me playing, it looks like I'm losing all the time.
Looks like you're getting your...
Yeah. It's bullshit.
Anyway, it's been fun.
We're about to play.
It's been fun. But, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
you're good. You're good at ping pong, by the way, so congratulations.
Thanks, Davin. All right, well, thanks for having me here. It's been awesome to witness. The album's going to be incredible. And really excited about it. So, yeah, thanks so much.
I'm so glad you came out and hung out, man.
Yeah.
I'm really, really, really glad you did. Wait, what do you think? Let's get your thoughts, by the way, because all the your friends all listen to this. They want to know what Jason thinks. What's your thoughts on kind of watching the process of how this shit unfolds?
It's incredibly tedious.
Yeah.
It is so tedious.
It is.
I mean, and maybe it's just how the team has collectively chosen how to do it this time. I don't know if this is normal, but one, it's very impressive because each of the guys, some of these guys are very soft spoken. You know, they'll say 3 words the whole day, right? But when they say something, it's meaningful,
right?
But like my point on that is like everybody brings something different to the table. Dan, I can't wait for his masterclass on producing with a minor in using that software program.
Yeah, he's a Pro Tools wizard.
I mean, he reminds me of my kids playing Fortnite. You know, it's just like I can't keep up. But like, yeah, I mean, it's tedious in a good way. You know, because it's like, and what's crazy is the everyone's collective ears are so precise. You guys all pick up on the smallest things. And I mean, even tonight, right? You're doing these overdubs or whatever, and you're in two rooms away, and you're like, wait, you guys aren't going to use that, are you? And it's the one thing we changed. Or I would say I was just watching, but they spent 10 minutes fixing this one bit, and you picked up on the fact that it was different than what you had remembered. And I'm like, and when you left, I was like, how did he hear that? You know, but you heard it.
It's you
know, it's crazy. So anyway, so my point is very tedious. You know, when you listen to a 3.5 minute song, I don't know how many hours,
I was gonna say,
man hours there are in putting that together, but it's way more than I would have thought.
Like you sit in there while we comp and stuff, and it's like I have to leave. You know, I might have mentioned that on the last podcast. But I have to leave because it'll take 3 times as long if I sit in there for some of it, because I'll nitpick every single thing. And that's not the point of what we're doing here. It's like, it's not about, you're not trying to polish anything. It's just, we're just trying to, you know, to be raw and emotional. But yeah, you leave hating the songs because you've heard them so many times, or you've heard the same line over and over again while we adjust a drum hit, you know, or whatever.
No, it's, and then the instrumentation, you know, the gear and the equipment that, I mean, I'm sure, you know, a lot of studios have it. And actually, Michael, I was talking to Michael briefly, which I thought was, you know, he owns it. He made a great point. He's like, listen, all these studios have the gear, they have the instruments, but it's really the people, and then sort of the secret sauce is the experience. Yeah. You know, so the fact that you can stay here on the site, wake up, grab coffee, and, you know, start working or whatever, that's different. And just the whole setting. There's like an English garden here, the ping pong tables, the whole thing. So it's like, the experience and the people kind of make it, and it's just been fascinating because this is the first time I've ever sat in a recording studio.
Yeah, it's different than you think.
It's wild, yeah.
It's and anybody out there that's thinking of recording something, check out Ivy Manor.
Yeah,
it's incredible because that is the thing. You go, I finish, and I can sit on the porch and kind of stare into the darkness and decompress after the day, and then just walk up the stairs, go to bed, wake up, shower, come home. The interns have breakfast for you and coffee.
And the soundboard, I don't know what model it is, but Michael was telling me it's from 1981.
Yeah, the SSL. Yeah.
And he said it was built for Bob Marley's son.
Yeah, I think it was built for Ziggy or somebody.
Yeah. So.
And then Zach Brown had it at his place. He bought it, I think, from the Marley estate, maybe, and he had it in Nashville at his place before he closed it down. And then Michael, I think, bought it from him.
Yeah. So it's just just the setting, the sound. I mean, it's all there. So, and it's coming across for sure. Thanks, Davin. Good luck with the rest of the process.
Thank you, Jason English and Curious Goldfish. Thanks for having me.
All right. Good luck, man.
Thanks for coming out.